And we're live.
Your starting diet was fucking wild, dude. You were eating like girl calories. I was shocked.
Yeah.
That ties into something. I've cultivated questions and stuff from my Twitter to ask you guys. This whole concept of eating more to raise his metabolism before he cuts is a trust fall I've never been willing to take. Like if I somehow eat more, that is long term the key to cutting fat. It sounds like bullshit. So I want to touch on that. And then vertical diet. I've watched a couple hours worth of vertical diet videos. I still don't know what it means. No one has been able to keep my attention span, which is a challenge, throughout a vertical diet explanation. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about the increase in calories and the diet?
Yeah.
Can I touch on it a little bit first? Because sure. What was interesting to me was I had that raw data as well by going to the DEXA scan place and getting an RMR right away. So I immediately got my resting metabolic rate. So they put this oxygen mask on you and they measure exactly how much oxygen you're intaking and how much CO2 you're expelling for several minutes. And you sort of sit very still in a dark room, maybe 5-10 minutes. It's a long time. And they're able to precisely, more or less, as closely as you're going to ever get, gauge your metabolism. And because I had been doing that crazy crash diet that he referred to, the girl calories, that's literally what he's like, my girlfriend eats more than you, bro. This ain't gonna work. My RMR was 2,100 calories a day, and I'm walking at that point. I'm 220 or something like that, 6'2", and it's the fuck. How are you ever going to lose any weight or gain any muscle at maintenance calories at 2,100 calories? You just can't. You either starve yourself. There was no getting around it. We had to boost the metabolism, and I'll let Derek jump in right after this point, but. A month of the vertical diet, the L-carnitine, the TRT, all the supplements, and a steady workout regimen, and we were up to 2,900 calories a day maintenance.
Yeah, so in general, the the low calorie thing, when you start out, it's not like he had the infrastructure to really cut off of to begin with. I'm sure you've heard of skinny fat physique before. So if you're relatively untrained and you try and go balls deep into a cut, you're just maybe you end up leaner, but you strip off so much. Well, you have no muscle to begin with to really support, have an infrastructure to even show what you're working with to begin with. So when you end up lean, it doesn't really look impressive anyways. And above and beyond that, maybe not entirely significant, but the more you build lean tissue on, the more energy you expend at rest, just sitting here doing nothing. So a lot of that was factored in with achieving the look he wanted. He obviously had to pack on some muscle and actually get in the gym and do something. It's not just about cutting your calories, because if that was the case, we would all just sit on our ass and just starve ourselves and take Adderall. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. So
what is the vertical diet? It sounds like a way to arrange your food on the plate.
I thought it was for mountain climbers. I thought it was when I first heard about the vertical diet, I'm that's probably for people who go high up and they need more oxygen.
I was do I put the potato on top of the chicken?
Look how much food it looks like I can eat.
Vertical diet is not descriptive at all.
So basically it's a methodology for approaching diet that was designed by Stan Efferding. He's the world's strongest IFBB pro, or at least he was up in, I don't know if anyone's exceeded his, powerlifting totals and whatnot, while concurrently being an IFBB pro bodybuilder, which is a professional bodybuilder for anyone who doesn't know what the IFBB is. But anyways, he is a bit more intelligent than the average, meathead bodybuilder. And he has, sort of integrated meathead meets actual science and designed a diet that hits not just macronutrient needs, because everyone knows macros like protein, fats, carbs. Most influencers who are in the fitness industry who take steroids and, sell, cookie cutter training programs and shit, they'll just tell you, hit your protein, then fill your calories with whatever the fuck. And as long as you hit your calorie goal, you're good, and you hit your protein, that's the optimal way to go about everything. It's calories in, calories out. You can't argue with science. It obviously makes sense. However, a lot of people don't realize micronutrients are signaling molecules in your body at the end of the day. So if you don't have enough zinc, if you don't have enough copper, if you don't have enough iodine, these are all precursors to different physiologic functions in your body that if you're deficient in them, you're going to have piss poor muscle building, piss poor recovery. All these things are going to be suboptimal, and down the line, even though your calorie allotment might be the same, you're not going to build muscle as effectively or burn fat as effectively. And especially when you start depriving yourself of calories, the micronutrient density of your foods becomes so much more critical, because it's like you're literally depriving yourself below what you need to maintain. So your body thinks you're starving.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're starving and you're getting less than you need to maintain, you have to make sure in that deprived amount, you're hitting as many of those micronutrient needs as possible. So the vertical diet, a lot of people think it's just like red meat and rice, and that's all it is. When in reality, there's like a lot of random little things in there that hit your micronutrients. So like, a bit of carrots, a bit of, iodine from fill in the blank. Like there's so many different ways to, it's basically just about backfilling micronutrient needs whilst being mindful of sports performance, muscle building, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people just think it's like eat a fucking steak and that's it. And that's just kind of like, I don't know, the selling point of the diet. It seems like it's just based around red meat and the importance of it and stuff, but it's actually, a pretty diverse diet given the constraints of like what is micronutrient dense. And there are tweaks and shit you make accordingly based on your own needs. Like, for example, I don't eat like fully vertical. I'll add in, things here and there based on my needs. And, obviously as you get really deep into a diet, maybe you have to pull out some of the diet hacks and like alternate some of the foods and whatnot. But like the general framework is just like what I built, especially his muscle building part of the diet on when we were adding calories. That's how you like really stroke your metabolism and get everything up and firing how we wanted it. And then implementing these 10-minute walks after the meals too helps with nutrient partitioning, helps with glucose tolerance, helps with all this kind of stuff that ultimately built up his physique to a point where we could still maintain like reasonable body composition, getting up to like 3,500 calorie maintenance essentially, from down at 1,200 when he was, not 1,200 isn't his maintenance, but I'm saying he was eating 1,200 to get like shitty results before. I was like, you're not going to build any muscle eating this much food. Let's like ramp up and titrate up to 3,500, get you, build some strength up, build a foundation of muscle. And then once we've like maintained your, ability to tolerate that much food, it's going to make the cut way easier too, because your ghrelin and leptin, which is like the things that signal you to be hungry, or you can't, you don't have the willpower to avoid cravings and stuff. Like after you diet for a while, I'm sure you notice your willpower goes down the toilet. That kind of thing, you have to sort of reset, because a lot of these are like chemical signaling things in your body, like ghrelin and leptin sensitivity and whatnot. So we had to sort of like reset that to make sure he could tolerate like an aggressive deficit more easily and have the foundation of muscle to not end up like skinny fat at the end of it. So anyway, built him up to 3,500 on the basis, the foundational principles of the vertical diet. I tweaked and modified the diet a little bit based on his needs and whatnot, and then designed a training split for him. And then kind of once he had built up a decent amount of muscle, I was like, okay, let's start peeling down. And then I started slowly like pulling calories out here and there, mostly from carbohydrates or wherever he felt like was cumbersome.
On the vertical diet, what goes on the plate? Is it just,
I'll tell you what I ate.
A meat, a potato, and then a mixed veggies? And
breakfast for me off the top of my head was usually some cranberry juice, some orange slices, several, like a couple of eggs, bunch of egg whites, white rice, which when you're eating white rice out of the refrigerator for breakfast, you do that for a year.
That's fucking hard. I have egg whites and water.
Do that for a year. It's not my favorite. In that rice, I would usually have like spinach, like steamed spinach, and like maybe a whole bell pepper, and that would be like a breakfast for me. And then I had 10 almonds I could eat a day. And I would usually either like have those for breakfast if I was like just about to go do my workout.
Wait, 10?
10. Like, this is why, like, whenever you talk about getting your whole can of smokehouse almonds, I'm like, a whole can will last you 3 months, buddy.
Oh no, not for me. That's 3 episodes of Sunny.
Because I eat 10 a fucking day. And so I would usually like either eat those almonds for breakfast because I felt like getting that fat and those extra calories in might be helpful, like kind of to fuel the workout a little bit. Or I would usually try to make that like my part of my pre-workout meal. And I had a slice of cheese I could eat every day. And I would move that slice of cheese around, and I'd be like,
"What kind of cheese?"
Oh, just cheddar cheese, like just regular like slice of cheddar cheese, like but a thin slice of cheese, right? So,
but you move it around as your little treat throughout.
Where we're gonna move our slice of cheese today?
Yeah, wait, I need to know honestly. Did you ever get to the end of a tough day and you got a little excited because you still had your slice of cheese you forgot about?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be like,
man, that is dedication, man.
I didn't eat my slice of cheese yet today, and I just like eat it really slowly. I would just nibble it straight out of the refrigerator, like savoring every little morsel of this fucking slice of goddamn cheese that's like 60 calories or something like that.
What is the benefit of? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then lunch, like you said, lots of red meat. I went back and forth between bison and like super lean ground beef, both of which are really expensive. Someone asked me in my live stream yesterday on Twitch, they were like, what's the most expensive part about this? And I'm like, I think the most expensive part is either the supplements, like the over-the-counter stuff, or the diet. Because at one point I was eating 2 pounds of beef a day, and it was like, I think it's like $10 a pound, so you're eating $20 of meat, and then there's that's just part of the diet. There's plenty of other shit that you're eating too.
That's like a moderate drug addiction.
I'm like 2 pounds of red meat every day. It's time for a colonoscopy, Kyle.
What is the benefit of the red meat over like ground turkey or something? Like there must be a micronutrient.
Like B vitamin density, the iron, like all this kind of stuff that ultimately backfills those micronutrient needs. Like if you have a slight, I don't know, a big slab of boneless, skinless chicken breast versus the equivalent calorie intake of like ground bison, for example, the content of vitamins is like vastly different to a point where it's like, well, how can I justify eating other than money or, taste or whatever? And like when you get deep into a diet, sometimes you make those kind of changes based on what you can actually stick to your diet with. But assuming willpower is like under control, optimal circumstances, you would probably choose the calories that have the most micronutrients in it relative to the thing that's, just hitting like protein and very basic mineral needs and whatnot.
Derek, if you were to stack rank the meats, beef, or we'll just say cow, chicken, and pig, what's your order? And like, what's the preference?
Like typically at the top of the pyramid, I would put like bison as that's my go-to personally.
Oh, bison, huh? How's zebra rank in there?
It's like I don't know.
You got it at the grocery store.
Buy the bison at Walmart.
Yeah,
can you? I don't know.
But basically, it's like relative to the fat content too. Like bison's relatively lean compared to other cuts of red meat, so you can get a shit ton of micronutrients in. With it's not like the fattiest cut of your crap like ground beef that you get in like a log at a grocery store. You're getting way more micronutrient bang for your buck with less of the fat intake. And it's just, I don't know, like that's typically my go-to personally. And I don't really deviate too much because I actually like the taste too. And ultimately some of this comes down to personal preference though too. If you have a
I do want you to try and stack rank the big three also. The cow, chicken, pig.
What about fish? That's in there. That's in the mix.
Oh yeah, big four. My mistake.
What was it? Cow? What'd you say? Cow,
chicken, fish. I'll write it down.
Pig.
Cow, chicken, pig.
You can
fish.
remember it. Going by taste, beef is at the top also.
Yeah, like ultimately most of the red meats are going to be in general more micronutrient dense, but it also is going to come down to, you have to keep in mind the quantity you're eating. Like he was eating so much of this that you might want to pick what you can tolerate for a long span of time, because if you can't adhere to the diet, you're not going to succeed at all. So for me personally, like to be honest, off the top of my head, I don't even know what the micronutrient comparison is of like some of those. But for me, like I would typically go for the leaner cuts of red meat and then kind of deviate away from the stuff like the bacons and whatnot at like the bottom of the totem pole. So yeah.
And do you eat fish much? It seems like a lot of huge guys eat a lot of fish.
I don't personally, but I supplement with omega-3s to kind of like make up for my lack of it. I try to get it once or twice a week, but in general, it's not my favorite. So
I know this isn't about me. I started having tuna as like a snack. I'll just freaking open the can and eat it straight with a fork. But Kyle pointed out the mercury issue, and I Googled it, and he was right. So you can't just pound tuna as a snack.
There's been quite a few people I know who've ended up with issues with that from eating a shit ton of fish. So something to be cognizant of too. If you're eating it, like if that's your preferred source of protein, you got to be a little bit careful with that.
I just find it was like 10 p.m. and I hadn't hit my protein yet and had calories. It's like, this is the answer. This is practically a protein shake, but in food that makes you not hungry. And you can't do tuna every day.
Yeah, I would occasionally eat tuna, like very occasionally, like maybe twice a month or something like that. And like I might have a piece of tilapia maybe once a week, but for the most part, it was bison and ground beef, like 90% of the time, and the other 10% was either tilapia or like chicken.
Does this diet cause any? You said like taking the omega-3s for fish. Does this vertical diet cause anything that you have to resupplement to make sure you're not missing out on? Does it cover most bases?
No, like in general, it advises you eat fish a couple times a week. It's just like your preference too is going to dictate what you need to kind of like backfill with, supplemental stuff. So if you're not,
I like salmon. I like tilapia. So in my like local butcher has like really good salmon. So every now and then I would just grab a big like whole fillet of salmon and I'd eat that bad boy. That was always nice.
So before you contacted me, did you know you were like, what was your plan to just diet on 1,200 calories until you got shredded pretty much? Or what was the what were you thinking?
He's laughing at you.
I kind of
foolish man.
It was like I was trying to like as quickly as possible lose as much fat as I could and then start something else. I needed you for like the fitness part of things. Mm-hmm. I wanted like whatever help I could get in that regard. And like the more we spoke, the more you were like interested in the whole thing. And I was like, oh, so he'll just do it all. Great. Thank God. Because it was going to be so hard to do it on my own. I would have definitely gotten like fit-ish, but like I would have been nowhere near like what we were able to get to.
Yeah, I remember asking you, because you would show these incredible progress pictures and you'd say like, I need to, and I'm injecting the L-carnitine, is that right? And I would ask like, so what's the reason behind that? And I don't know why I would always expect an answer, because the answer was always, I just do what Derek tells me to do. You're like, what's the benefit here? I don't know, Taylor. I'm doing what Derek tells me to do, and it's clearly working.